If you want to live a happy, fulfilled life, the last people you should be listening to are people who tell you to follow your passion. Welcome to Better with Phoebe. I'm Phoebe and I help people build the lives they love by taking charge of their thoughts and their time. In this video, I'm going to tell you why follow your passion is bad advice and what you can try instead. Follow your passion is one of those tired, meaningless cliches that people just sort of toss out there when they're trying to be helpful and inspirational, but there's not a lot of thought behind it. But if you take that cliche very seriously and try to incorporate it into your life, you might be signing yourself up for a lot of pain and heartache. And here's why. Follow your passion has a ton of built-in assumptions that simply aren't broadly applicable. The first big assumption is that you know what your passion is. I mean, what even is a passion? Is it a hobby, an interest, a talent, a calling? And what if you don't have any of those? There's no wonder why thousands of people every single day go to Google searching, how do I find my passion? The second built-in assumption is that your passion has commercial value to the market. Now, people don't get in their cars and drive to the mall to shop for passion. People pay for things because they believe that thing will add value to their lives. So if you are going to bring your passion to the market, it has to demonstrate value to the people who are interested in it. Now, I'm a firm believer that everything has a tribe and anything is monetizable, but that doesn't mean it's easy, which brings us to the next built-in assumption, which is that monetizing your passion is easy. You absolutely can monetize your passion if you know what it is, but it's not going to be easy because there's not a single easy job on the planet. Every single job, career, field, industry is hard. It has challenges, it requires work, it requires perseverance and time. And if you're going to monetize your passion, you have to be willing to make the sacrifices and trade-offs and compromises necessary to get through that process to where your passion is actually sustaining some sort of income for you. Which brings us to built-in assumption number 4. You are in a position to make the trade-offs necessary to turn your passion into something that generates income for you. Not everybody is in a position to do that. Now, we lionize entrepreneurs and creative professionals and artists who sacrificed everything for their craft, and all of a sudden they've become so successful because they were willing to make sacrifices. But those are sacrifices they were willing and able to make. And not everyone is starting from the same place. If you are really challenged from a financial perspective or from a time perspective or from a skill perspective, you may not be able to make the sorts of sacrifices that could turn your passion into something that creates a sustained income for you, even if you know what your passion is and you know it has value to the market. The fifth built-in assumption, and if you ask me, this is the one that's the most dangerous, is that once you follow your passion, you will be happy. Now, sometimes the thing about a passion that makes you happy is your ability to do it in a state of freedom. Once you monetize your passion and turn it into a job or a career or a business, all of a sudden your passion comes with daily responsibilities and expectations, collaboration, compromise, sacrifice, and that might suck the joy out of it. And that's tragic that you start with a passion that brings you a bunch of joy, but the pursuit of monetizing that passion turns it from something that makes you happy into something that feels draining. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that it's impossible to follow your passion and find happiness on the other side. All sorts of people do it. All sorts of people have done it. All sorts of people will do it in the future. What I'm saying is that it's not guaranteed. That advice doesn't work for everyone. So if you think through those 5 assumptions and you find that they all apply to you, by all means, follow your passion. You will find happiness on the other side. But if you have a bit of a question mark, I have an alternative for you. Follow your passion is definitely not life advice that applies to me. So here's what I live by instead. Live your values by consulting with your deathbed every day. Now, that sounds grim, I know, but hear me out. There will come a time when you will have more life behind you than ahead of you. And once you get to that point, we all do, you'll spend a lot of time reflecting on the life that you lived. So take a second now to step into the shoes of your future self and ask yourself, what are the things that you will be proud of, grateful for, and most importantly, what are the things you see yourself regretting? Those are your values. They're guiding principles that you can live by so that when you get to that point in your life where there's more behind you than ahead of you, you can look back and feel proud, grateful, and have very few regrets. So if you take time to identify them and find ways to incorporate them into your life, you will find happiness, even if you don't find a passion. So here's some examples from my life, and hopefully they will inspire you to identify some values and guiding principles for your own. I don't want to regret not taking care of my body. I also don't want to regret giving too much of myself to people who didn't deserve it. I want to feel grateful for a tight group of loving friends and family. I also want to be grateful for seeing the world. I want to be proud of achieving financial security. I also want to be proud of all of the people I was able to help in my life. So my guiding principles, my values that I need to incorporate in my everyday life are physical and mental health, building strong, healthy relationships, traveling, having financial security, and giving back to my community. So instead of following my passion, which I honestly couldn't name if you asked me to, I want to try to build a life that incorporates those values regularly. So once I get to that point where there's more life behind me than ahead of me, I look back and feel proud, grateful, and have very few regrets. The thing I love about this philosophy is how broadly applicable it is. It's specific enough to be clear and actionable, but it's flexible enough that anyone can find clarity using it. Not everyone has a passion, but everyone has values. Everyone has things that they think are important. Tell me in the comments, what's one thing that you can see yourself being proud of on your deathbed? And how can you make sure that that value is present in your life on a day-to-day basis? If you want to build a life you love, hit the subscribe button or join my newsletter in the link in the description below. I'm Phoebe. This is Better with Phoebe. I hope you have a great day and an even better tomorrow. Thanks for spending some time with me, and I'm looking forward to seeing you next week.